I'm Vicki O'Leary. I'm an ironworker. I have been doing this for 33 years, and I thought the best way for you to know more about me is for me to tell you my story. I was a kid with an attitude. Can you tell? Come on. My poor parents. So yes, this is me and my brother, and you're going to hear a lot about my brother today. This is a picture of me and my brother and my cousin Lorna. And the reason I chose this is because I had 6 teeth missing. Couldn't just have the 2 front teeth, I had 6. But my brother was 3 years older than me. And I always thought that anything Johnny could do, I could do. And I was kind of raised that way. And we were 1 inch apart until he went to high school and 10 pounds apart. And my parents would just get so tired of us arguing and yelling at each other that they would just tell us, go duke it out in the yard, I've had it. So that's my competitor, my brother. So when I was about 12 years old, we lived in Arkansas. I had a Yamaha 90 motorcycle, and my brother had a Yamaha 250 Enduro. And I said to my dad, Dad, do you think I could ride Johnny's bike? He says, you probably could. Well, I waited till he went in the house, and I jumped on my brother's motorcycle and took off. You know when you come home and both parents are standing outside? Yeah, they were both there. And my dad says, what are you doing? I said, Dad, you said I could probably ride it. He said, I said, probably. But I really think in the back of his mind, he was really pretty stoked that he had a daughter that was fearless. And at that time, I was. So how I became an iron worker, you're going to love this. My brother and I still lived at home with our folks. And every night we had dinner together. My mom was the traditional stay-at-home mom. Dinner was on the table, our laundry was done, she was great. So dinners were on the table. I'm trying to talk to my mother about my day at the law firm that I worked in downtown Chicago. My brother, on the other hand, was an apprentice iron worker, and so is my dad. My dad's an iron worker. My brother kept interrupting me and kept interrupting me. And finally, I'm like, John, and he says, shut up, you can't do what me and Dad can do anyway. Oh, really? So now the argument's ensuing at the table, and my dad's getting angry. And he says, all right, why don't you just take the test and see how you do on it and prove to your brother you can do better than he did on the test? Sounds reasonable to me. But in order to take the test back then, you had to go get a physical from a doctor that said you were physically fit to work manual labor. I did that. I had to go back to my high school and get my transcript sent to the union hall. I did that. And then I took the test. Well, let's back up. My brother tells me there's circles on the test. This aptitude test is supposed to show with these circles, you draw them as close together, going around and around and around, and you try not to touch the line around it. Okay, I practiced those suckers. Guess what I had on my test? Rectangles. Not good. So I took the test. I did better than my brother did on the test, and I kind of thought that was the end of it. This was in 1984. December 1984, I get a phone call that they want us to do orientation. So I went to that in my work clothes, which at that point were my skirt and my jacket and my pumps. My brother was appalled, by the way, because he was still apprentice. And I'm like, could you go start my car? It's really cold. He's just looking at me, shaking his head. So 3 months later, this is how it works in construction. 3 months later, they call you and say, we want you to go to work tomorrow at McCormick Place. What? Can I call you back? The apprentice instructor was like, yeah, call me back. So I called my mom. Mom, these people are serious. She says, you should do it. I thought she was going to say, forget it. She goes, you should do it. You've always been such an independent kid and so spirited that you should try this. So I go into the managing firm, the lawyer, and I say, hey, I'm going to try this ironworking thing. Can I get 2 weeks off just to try it? Just what you're doing now is what he was doing in my face. He says, I'll give you a week and you're going to come crawling back to me. I went, challenge number 2, damn it. On my way home that day, I stopped at Sears to go buy my first pair of work boots, and I was so excited. This is when I found out the challenges of PPE for women. My very first, before I even started, they asked me if I wanted hiking boots. No, I want work boots. Honey, they don't make them in your size. The smallest size I could get was still about 3 socks too big. So I did end up with the hiking boots and looked ridiculous, but I came home. My dad was in the garage, and he was getting me a tape measure and a crescent wrench, because all good apprentices have to have a tape measure and a crescent wrench. So I started my first day of March of 1985, and here was my dad's advice. Don't ruin my good name. In construction, your name is your reputation, and that's how you get work. Don't stand around and always look busy. Be safe. And he hands me my crescent wrench and my tape measure, and I'm ready to go. Well, I'm going to deflect from that story for a moment, and I want to tell you, I want to know if this is like this for you. When you go out on a job, you get directions like, meet Beaver at the end of the tunnel. What? Yeah, go to the Ford plant, meet Beaver at the end of the tunnel. This was my second job. But the reason I bring this up is, try being a young 20-year-old woman meeting Beaver at the end of the tunnel. It's horrible. I stood there and Beaver forgot about me, which I didn't know who or what a beaver was. Well, I knew. And as I'm asking men as they're walking by, do you know Beaver? You know they had to have felt so sorry for me. So I waited about an hour, and finally Beaver comes to meet me. But do you guys get directions like that? Meet Beaver at the end of the tunnel? It's crazy. So what I'm showing here is just some really kick-ass women doing what we do. And they just make me so proud and so just heartwarming to see the women that we have doing this trade. So back to my first day on the job. It was me and this guy, Frank. So it was take Frank and the girl up out of the building. It was at McCormick Place. They took the guy to the first floor and they took me to the top. When we got to the top of the ladder, it was just iron. Now think back to 1985, there's no fall protection, all right? And the guy gets up and he walks across and he goes, come on, kid. And I'm like, what? So thankfully, a nice young man came over to me and says, do you know how to walk the iron? I said, absolutely not, this is my first day. So he showed me how to get across the iron, no fall protection. Think about how safety's changed from 1985 until now. The fall protection thing. And we actually have harnesses now that fit women. Amazing. We weren't aware of the dangers of welding fumes or subpart R. That was not around. The silica standard wasn't here, and many, many other things. So we're going back a pretty long ways, and I know that's dating myself. And I wanted to show you this picture. Somebody just sent me this from the archives of Local 1. This is my local, and these are the women that I went through the apprenticeship with. But do you see what they wrote at the bottom of this? They said it couldn't be done. June 1988, when I became a journeyman. How sad is that? It's like we're test guinea pigs or something. Out of those women, a couple of them are retired, and I'm the only one left that's still going. But I want to talk to you about the biggest things that have happened in my career. Being the first woman appointed as a district rep for the Ironworkers International, and then being promoted from a district rep to a general organizer. I'm the first, as Mr. Dean would say, not the only, but I am the only. But I'm the first. And there's a lot of pressure there. But this is one of the greatest things that ever happened to us was our paid maternity leave. Have you guys heard about this? The ironworkers are the first in the building trades to have 6 months of paid leave prior to giving birth, and then 6 to 8 weeks after giving birth. And the criteria is simple to be on this policy. If they have enough hours in their hall to have insurance through their local union, they could be on this policy. The only other thing, they couldn't have used it in the past 24 months. So Irish twins are not allowed. But that's pretty awesome. And I hear from other trades all the time, how did you do it? How did you do it? It was through impact. We have this labor management group that we're able to have off-the-job accident policies and maternity policies and all the educational programs that we sent out. But how did it come about that the Ironworkers did this? At the Women Build Nations conference that we have every year for tradeswomen, we have a closed caucus with our general president and our general staff. And it's very rare that you actually get to be that close and to work with the general staff when you're just a local union member working out in the field. But they come to this every year. And during this, Bridget Booker from Local 112 in Peoria, Illinois, got up and told her story about working in the rod patch one day too long. She had a miscarriage. She only took 48 hours off of work and came back and never told a soul that she lost her child. What Ironworkers have done, and all tradeswomen, we've learned to hide our pregnancies. We wear the biggest Carhartts that we can put on. We hide it as long as we can because otherwise we could be having a baby and not have insurance by the time we do. So not only do you have to hide your pregnancy, but we're lying to our doctors. We're not telling them how physically demanding our jobs are. We finally now, we're able to talk to our doctors and tell them, this is what I do. We did find, though, that one of our deficiencies in this is that the doctors don't realize that this is not insurance, it's a benefit. So now we're going to have to come out with a brochure that tells the doctors what this is because they've never heard of anything like it. So with Bridget Booker, are we able to roll the video? Yes? No? Okay.
I lost Dion May 5th. I had to wait to actually let people know I lost my son. I didn't want to lose my job. I didn't want to lose the benefits. For that moment in time, I couldn't share it with nobody. You couldn't just walk up and say, hey, I lost my son, you know? That was a lonely period for me. So we're at a conference. This conference is the international conference for the women in the trades. Probably like 300, 400 women there, just as ironworkers. So we're all discussing our trials, our tribulations with work and our issues. And pregnancy came up. And a woman stated that she had to hide her pregnancy for 8 months, you know, and then you want to keep your insurance. You know, you don't want to get pregnant and get kicked off a job site in 3 months. And it was honestly a particular individual. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Said something I just didn't care for. And I just stood up and spoke my truth. I spoke my experience. I spoke what happened because she was not in that room with me when I broke those bed rails. She wasn't in there when I just couldn't take no epidural. I just had to give birth to my son. And she wasn't there when I had enough nerve or oomph to get up and say I'm committed to my job. I love my job that much, I'm not gonna lose it. I'm gonna get back out here less than 48 hours. That happened on a Saturday night and I'm back at work at 7 in the morning. In that moment, the trades were not keen to women being pregnant on the job sites. So you would hide it. And when you pressed with the issues of, do I provide for my children or do I quit? Do I provide for my rent and my water and my bills? Or do I tell them I'm pregnant and lose everything? So I blessed my son, Dion, you know? He helped out other women. I think there's 4 women right now that's currently using that maternity leave.
Last year, we had, I believe, 8 women use the policy or 11 women use the policy. It only cost the International $146,000 for doing the right thing. It can be done, and it should be done. The next thing I want to talk about, and I don't know if you guys have heard about Udi Hicks. Udi Hicks was a carpenter from Fresno, California. She was bludgeoned to death on the job by her coworker. So when we talk about sexual harassment and harassment on jobs, keep in mind, we could die. I always bring up Udi Hicks because I think it's pertinent, and that's one of the things that brought about the Be That One Guy campaign that the Ironworkers came out with. So be that one guy who tells a coworker, a foreman, a general foreman, et cetera, to knock it off. It only takes one to do the right thing. Be that one guy who realizes that the person being bullied or intimidated or on the receiving end of microaggression could be a mom, a daughter, a sister, or a niece. Be that one guy who treats a woman coworker as a sister ironworker. Be that one guy who teaches the tricks of the trades rather than assuming that because of her gender, she'll not be here long. Be that one guy who goes home to his family knowing he's done no harm to someone else's. And be that one guy who creates a safe haven for all workers. We just had our first contractor sign this commitment pledge and had every man and woman on the job sign it, that they were going to commit to being that one guy on this job. It's important to feel like you're safe on the job. We feel like at times our job is dangerous enough as ironworkers. We don't need to have that fear of the people that we work with. And the last thing I want to talk about is the story of us, tradeswomen and women that are kicking ass in the construction field, whether you're a project manager, an engineer, an architect. There's a divide between us, and it's got to stop. It's 3% of women in trades, they always say this, and 6% of women that are the project managers, engineers, et cetera. What we ask of the 6% and the 3% is that we now become a solid 9%. And when we see each other on jobs, we talk to each other. We say hello, we say good morning. You help a sister out if she needs it. If I see you on a job, and if the women that I work with see you on a job, we want to have a relationship with you. We want to be able to come to you if we are having an issue. You can help us with the men that are being the microaggressors in our trade. You can help us get the whole scenario of construction changed. We need a cultural shift. And it's going to take all of us collectively together to make that difference. Do I have you in? Are you in? Is it 9% or 3 and 6%? 9%, right? I just hope in a few years we're saying 20%. And a few years from that, we're saying 40%. It's time. Time's up. Time is up. And it's time for us to work together. If you have any questions for me, I would love to take those. Any questions? Do we have a mic? Okay.
Reese Fortin with PCL in California Buildings. We have a women's group, and one of our action items is to create a career path for women that are in the trades to get into our project management positions. Do you have any advice for us to do that?
Look at tradeswomen. Who knows the job better than women that have been in the trades, right? I know, like, where I come from, Chicago Women in Trades has been a really big help. A lot of these social groups like Building Pathways, Oregon Tradeswomen, Inc., those kind of places are a great place to look for women that would want to move on into project management.
Hi, Vicki.
Hi.
Could you tell us a little bit more about how men have responded to the Be That Guy program?
So far, we've seen, I was teaching a Ironworker Safety Director training course. I was doing the diversity part of that. And I had men, it was predominantly all men in the class, and we were talking about the Be That One Guy, and we had one guy from New York who just was not having it. He was like, nope, I'm not working with a woman. If If I have to work with a woman, I'm dragging up and I'm going to another job. Well, as time went on in this class and going through the Be That One Guy, I started noticing that I didn't have to challenge this guy. The other men in the room were challenging the guy. So that really, really helps. But we're also noticing that as we rolled this out, the men walking through the audience of the women that helped roll this out, they were coming up to us going, I am that one guy, and shaking our hands. So I truly believe in all industries, in construction, 90 to 95% are just really good people. But that 5 to 10%, oh my God. Wow. They really make themselves heard, don't they? That 5 to 10%. And it's those men that we need, the good guys, to shut down, to stop the bullying. Anybody else?
Good morning.
Good
My name is
morning.
Elizabeth Carruthers, and I'm a 55-year-old apprentice electrician.
Congratulations.
So we've been talking about how do we engage men, and that's an awesome conversation. My question to you, Vicki, based on that 3% versus 9%, sometimes women are the gatekeepers. How can you suggest the best way for women to better support each other around the gatekeeping? Does everyone understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Sometimes women are the issue.
How many of you have avoided tradeswomen on the job? I've avoided you guys, I'm sorry. But when I was out in the field, because we were told by the men that we worked around, don't talk to them. They're suits, don't talk to them. So, and I'm sure you've been told, don't talk to them. We've got to just defy that. I'm going to tell you a story about a woman she's an iron worker, and she had never spoken to the safety woman on the job before, never. But that time of the month came a week early. And she tried to find the other laborer woman on the job to see if she had anything, couldn't find her. She finally had no choice. She had to go knock on the trailer door. You have no idea how intimidating that is to a tradeswoman to go knock on you guys' trailer doors. So she went and knocked on the trailer door. And all the guys there, yeah? She's like, you. And they're like, what do you want? She goes, no, I need to talk to her. She came outside and she told her the dilemma she was in. The safety woman on that job said, you go back on the job. I'm going to run to the store right now. Came back, gave her what she needed. That's the kind of sisterhood that we need on a job. We need to know that we can come to you if we have an issue and not feel like we're knocking on the Imperial Palace to get what we need. It's very intimidating for tradeswomen to see you and have to interact with you because we've been told that you're the enemy, basically. We've got to stop that. Tradeswomen need you, and I think you need tradeswomen to have your back. Somebody's harassing you on the job. If it's an ironworker, I'll tell you right now, the ironworker women will have your back. Any other questions?
Hi, Vicki. Sarah Tunpass with the Bolt Company. Thank you very much. Do you see other unions implementing similar Be That One Guy campaign? And what can employers do to ask for those campaigns that you have so that we can also promote that in-house?
I haven't seen other trades yet, but what there is a lot of talk of, especially on our North American Building Trades Unions Tradeswomen Committee, that's a mouthful, by the way. We've been talking about bystander training and think that that's really something that needs to be put out there for everybody. We're all responsible. And I think bystander training, not only for tradespeople, but also people that are, anybody that's going to be on the project needs to have bystander training and respectful workplace training. That's a couple of the endeavors that we're working on is actually training sessions. But I think through the North American Building Trades Union, we might be able to get this pushed out to other unions.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing. My name is Stephanie. I really appreciated how you talked about meaningful organizational change in the form of maternity leave for the women that you work with. And I think I'm really interested in knowing what were some of the actionable steps you took to create that policy. Culture change is huge, and it's 2017, and we're seeing that now, which is really exciting. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, we were lucky because of impact. We have an off-the-job accident policy in place already. So if you get hurt playing soccer on the weekend, you're not going to go limping into the job and act like you did it there. Construction workers don't do that, really, do they? But we wanted to save our contractors that workman's comp claim. So we came out with the off-the-job accident policy. And basically what I did with this is I dovetailed this on the off-the-job accident policy. It's pretty much the exact same perimeters as far as 66 and 2/3 of your pay a week with a cap of $800 a week. So really that's how we were able to do it. I know that for a lot of them, they don't have the same kind of labor management group that we do have. They may need to think about restructuring how they're doing business. But that's how we did it. And when we rolled it out, there was a little pushback from some of the men. Where's our paternity care? We need to be able to take time off too. I would love that. But quite frankly, we don't have we have 1.5% to 2% women, 130,000 men and about 2,085 women. The women from Canada are not eligible for this because they're taken care of in their own country. The numbers added up. But if you start talking about paternity on 130,000 men, and then how does that work if they're the baby daddy and they've got 3 women pregnant at the same time? I don't know. I don't even know how I would work on that. Just kidding. Just kidding. A woman can only have one pregnancy a year anyway. But a guy could essentially get 365 women pregnant, maybe more. I don't know. Any other questions?
Back here. Oh, hi, I'm Sarah. I work in estimating and procurement, and everyone is so busy. All of the trades, we're hearing, union halls are empty, we can't get enough people. What can we do for younger women in high school or college age? How do we attract them towards the trades to make careers out of this, especially as it is becoming more viable as far as benefits and things like that?
I think sometimes at the high school level, we've waited too long. We really need to start looking at junior high girls because they have no idea what's out there. And I saw that GWIC does I think it's called Dream Camp, or it's a camp that they did in Kansas City last year, and I went. And it was amazing. These girls, we took them to the Ironworkers Local 10, and they made stools out of iron. It was very cool. They got to take them home with them. But I do think that we need to start younger, and we have to encourage women to join the trades. I've created a great middle class income. I've been independent, thank God, for my whole career. We need more women. We need them in all the trades. And that's part of what the Trades Women Committee does, is try to get the word out. And by having the Women Build Nations Conference is trying to retain the ones that we have. We can recruit all day long, but if we don't keep the women that we've got in, and the men for that matter, we're really wasting a lot of money educating our apprentices. It's about $32,000 for their education by the time we finish with them from start to finish. So we really need to hang on to the ones we have, but we need to get more. And if I had the magic thing on that, I would let you know. But we just keep going out there doing career fairs just like everybody else and trying to get more women to come in. Hi.
Hello. My name's Bonnie. I'm with Dome Construction, and I hire all the carpenters and laborers, so I handle manpower. And then we have 2 or 3 women out in the field as carpenters now, but I have trouble finding them. Is there a resource that I can go to find to get these women to come and in as applicants? And is there a, yeah, we need to get more women, so it's.
I would start pushing the local unions that are around your area,
Yeah.
that you need more women. You as contractors and as people that are going to be doing the hiring on jobs, if you say that you need X amount of minorities, put it on the local union to start finding them for you. We can't just keep letting them sit back and wait for the people to come to them. We've got to get more in our rank and file. We know that. And we really can't keep doing it by nepotism. There's not enough family left for us to keep bringing in. So we got to start looking outside of families. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, thank you very much. I've really, really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.